What if your body has been warning you for months, and you've been ignoring every single signal? Not because you don't care, but because the signs don't look dangerous at first. A strange taste in your mouth, a little fatigue, some swelling you brush off as nothing. But what if those are early signs your kidneys are starting to fail? Today, we're going to break this down in the simplest way possible. No fluff, no confusion, just the critical warning signs you need to know, what they actually mean, and what you can do starting today to protect your kidneys. Let me paint you a clearer picture. There's someone. Let's call him Mark. Mark wakes up early, checks his phone before he even gets out of bed, grabs coffee instead of breakfast, and pushes through the day. Meetings, stress, deadlines. Lunch is whatever is quick. Dinner is whatever is convenient. Nothing extreme, nothing that feels dangerous. But over weeks, then months, small changes begin stacking up. He feels a little more tired than usual, but blames sleep. He notices puffiness under his eyes, but blames stress. His blood pressure creeps up, but blames age. Each symptom by itself seems harmless, so he ignores them. Until one day, during a routine checkup, the doctor pauses, looks at the labs, and says something that doesn't match how Mark feels. Your kidney function isn't where it should be. That's when it hits. And here's the uncomfortable truth. This exact scenario is happening to millions of people right now. Because kidney damage doesn't come in loud, dramatic symptoms. It builds quietly. It whispers long before it becomes a crisis. Before we get into the warning signs, you need to understand one critical thing most people never learn. Your kidneys are not just passive filters. They are active decision makers. Every single minute, while you're working, eating, even sleeping, they are processing your blood and making thousands of microscopic decisions. What stays in your body? What gets removed? What gets recycled back into circulation? They're balancing fluids, regulating blood pressure, controlling electrolytes, removing waste, and even activating hormones like vitamin D that affect your bones and immune system. So when kidney function starts to decline, it's not one isolated issue. It's a domino effect. One system slips, then another, then another. Now let's break down the 7 warning signs most people miss, until it's too late. The first sign often shows up in a place most people ignore. Your mouth. A strange metallic taste. Food doesn't taste right. And sometimes, your breath takes on a sharp, ammonia-like smell. This isn't random. It's your body signaling that waste, things that should have been filtered out, is staying in circulation. That's your first early warning. The second sign is itchiness, but not the kind caused by dry skin or allergies. This is deeper. When waste builds up in your bloodstream, your skin becomes an alternate exit route. You may notice persistent irritation, unexplained itching, or sensitivity that doesn't respond to lotions, because the problem isn't on the surface, it's internal. Now things start becoming more visible. Swelling, especially in your feet, ankles, or lower legs. Press your finger into your skin, and if it leaves a dent that slowly fills back in, that's called pitting edema. That means fluid is no longer being regulated properly. Instead of being filtered and balanced, it's leaking into surrounding tissues. That's not just cosmetic, that's dysfunction. Then there's puffiness under the eyes. Most people assume it's lack of sleep, but in many cases, it's one of the earliest visible signs of kidney stress. Your kidneys are supposed to retain essential proteins. When that system weakens, those proteins leak, and fluid follows. And the face is often the first place it shows. Now we get into something that affects your entire day. Fatigue. Not just feeling tired, but feeling drained, heavy, and mentally foggy. This happens because waste products like urea accumulate in the bloodstream. Your body is essentially trying to function in a toxic internal environment. And no system, energy, focus, recovery, can operate efficiently under those conditions. Next is high blood pressure. And this is where the cycle becomes dangerous. When kidneys are damaged, they lose their ability to regulate fluid and vessel tension. That increases pressure inside your blood vessels. But here's the problem. High pressure then damages the kidneys even further. So now you're stuck in a loop. Damage creates pressure. Pressure creates more damage. And it keeps compounding. And finally, one of the most overlooked consequences, vitamin D dysfunction. Your kidneys are responsible for activating vitamin D into its usable form. Without that step, your body can't properly absorb or regulate calcium. So even if you're supplementing, you can still be deficient. Over time, this leads to bone weakness, calcification in arteries, and a wide range of long-term issues that don't seem connected, but are. Now here's the part most people avoid thinking about. These symptoms are not random. They are signals. And behind those signals, there is always a cause. The number one cause of kidney damage is high blood sugar, not the occasional spike after a meal. Chronic elevation, hour after hour, day after day. Think of your kidney filters as ultra-fine mesh, millions of tiny units called glomeruli. Now imagine sugar passing through those filters like microscopic sandpaper. Every pass creates a little friction, a little inflammation, a little damage. You won't feel it at first, but repetition is what breaks systems. And over months, then years, those filters start to lose precision. They leak what they should keep, and they retain what they should eliminate. That's when symptoms begin. Now here's the part most people don't realize. Your bloodstream is tightly controlled. At any moment, you're only carrying about 1 teaspoon of sugar in circulation. That's all your body can safely handle. But the average daily intake? 15, sometimes 20 teaspoons or more. So where does the excess go? Your body scrambles to store it, buffer it, and clear it. And one of the primary systems doing that work is your kidneys. They are forced to filter, refilter, and compensate for something they were never designed to handle at that scale. And over time, they pay the price. Now, layer on additional stressors. High blood pressure tightens and damages blood vessels feeding the kidneys. Medications add chemical load that must be processed and cleared. Poor diet quality removes the nutrients needed for repair. Each one alone creates strain. Together, they accelerate decline. So what actually works? Not theory, not trends. Actions that directly reduce stress on the kidneys. If you do nothing else, fix blood sugar control. Lower added sugars. Reduce refined carbohydrates. Stabilize your meals so you're not constantly spiking insulin. Because if this stays broken, everything else becomes a temporary patch. Next, hydration. Your kidneys rely on adequate fluid to dilute waste and move it out efficiently. Aim for roughly 2 to 2.5 liters of water daily, adjusting for activity and climate. Think of this as keeping the filtration system flowing instead of stagnant. Then, electrolyte balance, especially potassium, if you're not in advanced kidney disease. Potassium helps regulate fluid distribution, nerve signaling, and blood pressure. The best source isn't a pill, it's food. Leafy greens, vegetables, whole, unprocessed foods. These provide a balanced mineral profile that supports kidney function instead of stressing it. Now simplify your food strategy. Build meals around leafy greens for minerals and detox support, asparagus for natural diuretic effect and uric acid balance, celery for gentle fluid regulation and reduction of puffiness. This isn't complicated, but consistency is what makes it effective. Protein intake matters, but extremes are the problem. Too much protein increases waste load that kidneys must filter. Too little leads to muscle loss and metabolic slowdown. So stay in the middle. Moderate, high-quality protein with adequate fats and vegetables. Here's where most people fail. They try to add healthy foods on top of a damaging foundation. But you don't fix overload by adding more inputs. You fix it by removing the source of stress. Cut processed foods, excess sugar, low-quality oils and additives, unnecessary chemical exposure when possible. Give the body fewer problems to solve, and it starts repairing itself. If kidney issues are already present, be strategic. Certain foods high in oxalates can contribute to stone formation in susceptible individuals. Examples include spinach almonds, beet greens. This isn't about fear, it's about context and timing. Now come back to Mark. What changed wasn't just what he ate. It was how he understood cause and effect. He stopped guessing. He stopped reacting. And he started making deliberate inputs. And once those inputs changed, the trajectory changed with them. Your kidneys don't fail overnight. They give you signals. The real question is, are you paying attention? With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.